This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for being with us on this Friday. Manitoba Public Insurance wants to raise your vehicle insurance rates next year. The Crown Corporation is going to the Public Utilities Board to ask for a rate increase after reporting a $130 million loss. CBC's Bartley Kivas is following this story and joins us in the newsroom tonight. So Bartley, why did MPI lose money in the last fiscal year?
MPI says ballooning expenses led to a loss for the fiscal year that ended on March 31st. Expenses went up $1/3 billion. MPI says this is mainly because of higher claims. The corporation says hail-related claims alone cost $50 million. It calls an August 2023 hailstorm in Winnipeg the largest natural catastrophe in its history. And as a result, MPI will ask the Public Utilities Board for permission to raise insurance rates by 3% in 25-26, plus a $10 hike to the base driver premium.
All right, Bartley, so what has the reaction been to this?
Well, the reaction's unusual, if not unprecedented. A watchdog that keeps tabs on MPI says it's concerned the requested rate hike is too low. The Public Interest Law Centre notes MPI's own actuaries recommended a 6% rate hike, but MPI says it wants to keep rates affordable. The Law Centre says that's not how insurance works, and MPI has to recover its costs. Katrin DeLay speaks on behalf of the Law Centre.
Just in terms of affordability, our clients are concerned about affordability, but not at the risk of creating significant risk for higher rate increases for future customers.
DeLay also said she's concerned about the ongoing cost of Project Nova. That's MPI's troubled digital transformation project. She's also concerned about a plan for MPI to add 374 more staff. Now, ultimately, the PUB will decide in December what the rate hike will be.
What about a rebate, Bartley? Are we getting any money back from MPI this year?
Nope. MPI's CEO predicted in March another rebate check would come this year, but that's no longer on the table thanks to that $130 million loss. Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Bartley. CBC's Bartley Kivas in the newsroom tonight. Well, still with MPI, auto dealers and manufacturers want Manitoba to change its new incentives for electric vehicles that were just announced this week. Manitobans who buy new EVs can apply for a $4,000 rebate check from MPI. But dealers and manufacturers say they would like that rebate taken off at the point of sale instead, in order to cut down on financing charges. The province says it will not be making any changes. A Manitoba high school hasn't taken allegations of hazing seriously enough. That is according to a member of one of the communities at the center of the controversy. In April, RCMP arrested 3 teens following an investigation into hazing on a hockey team. The person raising concerns now spoke with the CBC's Alana Cole, and Alana joins me in the studio now. So, Alana, I understand that we're not identifying the community member in this case over fears of backlash, but what have they told you?
Well, this person spoke out after learning a teenager charged in connection with hazing allegations was named as the recipient of 2 high school athletic awards last month. The community member says those awards were revoked by the school the next day. The person says there was an apology and the school division said a mistake had been made. But they worry even initially naming the student as the recipient of the awards sends the wrong message to other students and the victims of the alleged crimes. The community member said, quote, other kids are going to see that, other hockey players are going to see that and think, well, if the school doesn't think it's a big deal, why is it a big deal? The individual also gave another example they think sends the wrong message. They say while RCMP was notified by the school when the victims came forward, those accused in the case were initially allowed to continue playing on the high school basketball team.
So, Alana, remind us of some of the details of this case.
Well, we aren't naming the hockey team or the school to protect the identity of the young people involved. In April, RCMP arrested 3 teens, all aged 17 at the time, in relation to 2 alleged hazing incidents. RCMP said there were 5 victims of the alleged crimes. All were rookies. At the time, RCMP said the teens were arrested for several offenses, including sexual assault. RCMP said today the Crown reviewed evidence. Court documents confirm the 3 teens have a number of offenses before the court. 2 of the teens' charges include assault with a weapon and assault causing bodily harm. The other teens' charges include assault and uttering threats. None of the teens are charged with sexual assault. None of the allegations have been proven in court.
So, Alana, what is the school division saying about the concerns that were raised by this community member?
The team has players from 3 school divisions. This community member came forward with concerns around the awards at the school located in the Prairie Spirit School Division. In a statement, the Prairie Spirit School Division says, quote, "We are aware that some may perceive that not enough is being done. However, maintaining the privacy of individuals while planning for the safe participation and attendance of students when possible remains a priority and our legal responsibility."
So, Alana, what does the community member want to see done here?
They say hazing needs to be taken seriously, and part of that involves clear consequences. They want to see more training and awareness around hazing and better supervision in place for students on teams.
All right. Thank you so much for your work on this, Alana. CBC's Alana Cole in studio for us tonight. A 23-year-old man has been arrested in the death of Norma Jean Sumner last month. The 29-year-old victim was from Dauphin River First Nation but had recently been living in Winnipeg. She was found with life-threatening injuries just after midnight on June 23rd on Balmoral near Cumberland and later died in hospital. Kyle Byron Strait has been charged with manslaughter and remains in custody. 2 people were taken to hospital after this crash near the Mint this morning. It happened at La Jamaudière in East Mint Place just before 10:30. At least 3 vehicles, including a passenger vehicle and a semi-truck, were involved. A woman was taken to hospital by Stars Air ambulance. A man was also taken to hospital, but we don't know the extent of his injuries. The Women's Health Clinic says its home is showing its age. The clinic has spent a week and a half and counting in sweltering heat because an air conditioner broke. As the CBC's Ian Fraze explains, the clinic says it's proof they desperately need money for renovations.
It's been like this for a week and a half.
Temperatures inside the Women's Health Clinic reaching around 25 degrees Celsius. The air conditioner is busted, many staff have been sent home, and only some services are happening in person. Executive Director Kemlyn Nemhard says it's taking a while to fix the air conditioner because the parts need to be found.
Our building is 60 years old, over 60 years old. Our systems are old.
The building on Graham Avenue in downtown Winnipeg has seen better days.
Huge tripping hazard, but it's also an accessibility hazard.
The elevator doesn't line up with the floor, the stairs too narrow and steep. There's fears the building could keep deteriorating.
Our elevator is the original elevator. The boiler is the original boiler. We're very aware that if one of those systems went down, it would jeopardize care for thousands of people.
Patients visit the women's clinic for reproductive and sexual health care, as well as abortion services and counseling. During last year's election, the NDP promised the building would get a refresh.
The full capital funding desperately needed for renovations.
Now the NDP's in power, and while no money has flowed yet, the health minister says help will come but wouldn't say when.
Whatever they decide to do moving forward, they know they have the support of our government.
The clinic expects to need $20 million for renovations. Nemhard says leaving isn't an option. They own this building, so they don't have to worry about a government or landlord restricting what they offer, like abortions.
Ultimately, we don't want to be at the whim of those sort of changing climates, right?
The health minister says the decision to stay in that building will be left to the clinic. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The City of Winnipeg has a plan to deal with a nearly $40 million projected deficit this year. The city's rainy day fund does not have enough money in it to cover the full deficit. The city plans to forego transferring more than $15 million into the reserve fund. It will also use debt deferral, interest savings, and expenditure management to further reduce the shortfall. Finance Chair Jeff Brawadi says he has confidence in the plan, but he worries how the city will replenish its reserve.
Private, low subsidized, all different types of housing will be paying property taxes in the future. So I'm encouraged to see activity there. It's not necessarily an overnight fix, but I think it's a long-term piece that we'll do to get there.
The Finance Committee approved that plan this morning. Well, it's probably been a while since you've seen one of these vintage orange transit buses, but this one was pulled out today for a very special occasion, the retirement of a longtime Winnipeg bus driver. And as the CBC's Rosanna Hempel shows us, her grand send-off took her down memory lane in style.
Donna Church Glover is celebrating her retirement with a blast from the past.
When I started, these were the buses we had. The high floors, that's what we called them, because you have to step up.
She started her career with Winnipeg Transit 19 years ago, driving this General Motors model from 1971.
It's just, this is awesome. And the miler signs, we used to have to...
This heritage ride is no longer in service. Church Glover's colleagues and family brought it out to Portage Avenue for a trip down memory lane.
These old buses, and some of them were like rockets. They could, you in a snowstorm, you just sit there and rock it back and forth, and you'd get out of a big, a big wad of snow there.
It's a special treat on her last day behind the wheel.
It feels weird. It feels really strange. It's like, see, this is our old transfer cutter.
Church Glover's husband and two brothers were also bus drivers with transit. She's the last to retire.
I'm going to miss the driving. I love driving the bus. It's the best feeling.
But she's looking forward to the road ahead. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A really nice story, and congratulations to you, Donna, on your retirement. That leads us to a look at your weekend weather forecast now. A day after that big downpour we saw here in Winnipeg, I have some numbers I want to show you from that. Pretty staggering amounts of rain in just a matter of a couple of hours in parts of Winnipeg. 43 millimeters at the airport, the bulk of that falling over the course of an hour or hour and a half through the afternoon yesterday. St. James downtown through White Ridge, 15 millimeters or so. You can see some of those pockets of yellow there through Charleswood as well. On the flip side, 1/8 of a millimeter in Island Lakes. So you can kind of see where the rain was really centered, where we saw some of that flooding yesterday afternoon. A few more scattered thunderstorms falling today. In fact, if we look closer into the Duck Mountain Provincial Park region there, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place right now. We did see a warning in place around the Grand Rapids, sort of Fairford region earlier in the afternoon. Most of these thunderstorms very scattered in nature, but we could see a few heavy downpours and some lightning into northwestern Ontario, as well as you can see here. By and large, though, we're actually seeing a mainly sunny sky out there as forecast, and that's what we're expecting as we get into the day on Saturday. This instability kind of clears out, and we start the day under bright sunshine tomorrow. Really, province-wide, we do see a bit more instability, as you can see, kind of moving in again and bubbling up as we get into the late afternoon across southern Manitoba. Even into parts of the north, could see some heavier pockets of rain, kind of sporadic and isolated in nature, but we could see some of that into the late afternoon, evening tomorrow. Sunday, we have a good chance we could see some showers again. More cloud cover builds into the afternoon, and we start Monday under a mix of sun and clouds. I wanted to quickly touch on wildfire smoke. I've had a few questions about this, in particular about northern Manitoba. We're seeing some smoke from northern Alberta kind of drifting into northern Manitoba, giving us here in the south a bit of a haze, but some thicker haze through places like Lynn Lake into Dooley Lake, Brochet, even as far south as Flin Flon. Maybe seeing a bit of haze as we get through Saturday and into Sunday. Winds here out of the south and the west will kind of keep that at bay here in southern Manitoba. Mostly clear, 16 tonight in Winnipeg, up to 18 first thing in the morning, a mostly sunny sky. Again, chance of some isolated thunderstorms or some showers tomorrow, and 27 degrees. Temperatures looking up as we get into next week, and I've got some 30s in the forecast in your 7-day coming up a little bit later on. Winnipeg's mayor is throwing a ball. It is part of the Winnipeg 150 celebrations. The Winnipeg 150 Mayor's Ball will feature performances from the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, Manitoba Opera, Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, and the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. The ball will also help struggling arts groups.
The performing arts are experiencing long COVID. We are, still employing our stabilization fund in order to present at the scope and scale that MTC is used to and that our audiences expect of us.
Money raised from the event will help bolster funds for arts groups after seeing revenues plummet during the pandemic. In Brandon, hundreds of golfers teed up today in support of Westman Sports. They're competing in the Bobcat Burt Cup, a shotgun golf tournament that was organized by the Brandon University athletic teams. Last year, $84,000 was raised, and this year they're hoping to top $100,000.
The mindset of a lot of the students are that they're going to bring what they learn and they're going to try and make their community a better place.
Still to come, decolonizing art, one piece at a time, how the University of Manitoba is working to replace problematic paintings and sculptures with the help of Indigenous students. That story next. Stay with us. Amidst debate about and discussion about what to do with art that reflects imperialist history, the University of Manitoba is working to decolonize its art collection. They're doing this by replacing problematic paintings and sculptures with contemporary Indigenous art. And it has enlisted a group of Indigenous students to recommend art and purchase it. Karen Pauls has the story.
This is a piece from the university collection that we no longer display.
Deep in the University of Manitoba's art collection vault are pieces the public can't see anymore.
Instead of this, violent attacking of the bison, there might be a better option of a sculpture where they're preparing the bison that they've hunted. It kind of creates a harmful stereotype and perpetuates it further in university education. So it's best to remove these pieces.
C.W. Brooks Ip is responsible for the university's art collection. They say this painting used to hang in the president's office.
Showing us, an Indigenous experience of direct colonization.
It's kind of depicting like a we're over here and they're over there type situation.
So, as part of a 2-year pilot project, a group of Indigenous students have been meeting artists and curators, visiting studios, and recommending art to purchase.
I remember coming to campus and I just felt so unsure about my identity.
Jory Thomas is a third-year architecture student and a Red River Métis. She jumped at the chance to get involved with this project.
Seeing pieces like that reminds me of home and gets you comfortable and ready to learn as well.
Frederick Lyle Spence carves soapstone sculptures.
The ear and that face kind of pops out. It's a spirit.
In March, he created this sculpture of a goose with a dream catcher in its belly. It's called Let Your Dreams Fly, for they will bring you home.
The mindset of a lot of the students are that they're going to bring what they learn and they're going to try and make their community a better place. And so that's what I think about when I think of this.
There is debate about what to do with works of art that reflect colonial history. Should they be relegated to the vaults or used to educate?
Riva Simcoe, head of collections and exhibitions at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, says there's room for both approaches.
Sometimes we need to put things away because they're traumatic, because they are harmful to our visitors, to our audiences. And sometimes there's occasions where we can reframe the artworks, retell those stories from a contemporary point of view. So the future will tell whether we burn them down or whether we store them away and lock them in the vault or whether we bring them out and use them for discussion.
Back on campus, while Indigenous art is the focus right now, the university is auditing its collection with the hope of expanding the project to reflect other racialized and queer communities.
The university is ultimately a colonial institution that is designed to serve white people, faculty, staff, and students, as well as the broader white community, and that needs to change.
One piece of art at a time. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Downtown was a bustling place, that's for sure. It used to be the place everybody went to. There was so much stuff happening downtown.
Well, here's a look at Brandon's downtown cruise night last night. The monthly car show draws hundreds of classic cars and modified rides to the city's core. It's all in an effort to help revitalize Brandon's downtown. Certainly a nice evening for that last night. Stay with us. I'll have a last check on our weekend forecast coming up after the break. Here's a look at your provincial forecast for your Saturday, and we're looking at temperatures really at or above seasonal, really province-wide tomorrow. A good chance we could see some isolated showers or thunderstorms really across the south tomorrow. Temperatures at 26 in both Gimli and Pinawa, 25 in Brandon, 26 is for Dauphin and Swan River, and 26 as well in Thompson tomorrow. That brings us to the catwalking forecast. This is Jenny. Jenny looks like really enjoys going for a walk. Thanks, Carol and Dawn, for sending this one in. Might be a little bit wet for Jenny if we get stuck in some of those isolated showers tomorrow afternoon, but we're looking at partly cloudy evening and 22 degrees. Your 7-day forecast looks like this. I promised that we would have some 30-degree temperatures in there, and look at this as we get into next week. 30 for Thursday and 31 for Friday. A Cree photographer has taken on a project to give other people something she always wished she had: a photo of their grandparents to hang on their wall. CBC Indigenous reporter Janelle Henry and video producer Darren Morash traveled to Broken Head Ojibwe Nation for tonight's Daily Lift.
Okay, how about we do portraits of you two together?
There we go. That's a great idea.
My goal is to photograph all the elders across Manitoba and hopefully all of Canada. And that's something like I want my daughter to grow up like seeing, like, wow, my mom did that. Maybe rest her head on his shoulder. Yeah. Growing up, I didn't really have professional photos done of my grandparents, so it's a shame. But it brings me peace knowing I could offer that to families across Manitoba.
Why is it important to have these pictures up on the walls?
To show that we're here, you know, like we're always here. We were the first ones that lived on a reserve here.
They love seeing their elders. They love seeing their grandparents and parents, and I think for me, it just again triggers a lot of great memories that they have.
What are you ladies doing here today?
While we're taking the pictures, we're told that they were taking pictures for 60 and over. Even though I'm 29, we decided to come. Like, there's no pictures of us when we're young, because we were separated, taken off the res by force, unwillingly so.
10 years from now, they're gonna look at that portrait and be like, yay, I get to see my grandma's smile and a clear photo with all the details.
Just memories, I guess, is what I want, saying that I was here. Yeah.
Very lovely story, and I'm sure that not only the grandkids appreciate the photos, but I'm sure that the elders really appreciate having some very nice photos of themselves too. That is our newscast for this evening. Thanks for being with us. Have a great weekend.